Ibiza is an island in the Mediterranean Sea, 150 kilometers off the coast of the city of Valencia in eastern Spain. It is the third largest of the Balearic Islands, an autonomous community of Spain. Its largest cities are Ibiza Town, Santa Eulària des Rius, and Sant Antoni de Portmany. Its highest point, called Sa Talaiassa, is 475 meters above sea level. While it is 1/6 the size of nearby Mallorca, Ibiza is over 5 times the size of Mykonos, or 10 times the size of Manhattan Island. Ibiza has become famous for the association with nightlife and the electronic music that originated on the island. It is well known for its summer club scene, which attracts very large numbers of tourists. Though the island's government and the Spanish tourist office have controversially been working to promote more family-oriented tourism, Ibiza is the home of the noted port in Ibiza Town, a popular stop for many tourists and now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Ibiza and the nearby island of Formentera to its south are called the Pine Islands, or Pithiases. History of Ibiza. In 654 BC, Phoenician settlers founded a port in the Balearic Islands, as Ibosum. It was later known to Romans as Ebusus. The Greeks called the two islands of Ibiza and Formentera the Pithiases. With the decline of Phoenicia after the Assyrian invasions, Ibiza came under the control of Carthage, also a former Phoenician colony. The island produced dye, salt, fish sauce, and wool. A shrine with offerings to the goddess Tanit was established in the cave at Esquiarum, and the rest of the Balearic Islands entered Ibiza's commercial orbit after 400 BC. Ibiza was a major trading post along the Mediterranean routes. Ibiza began establishing its own trading stations along the nearby Balearic island of Mallorca, such as Nargadas, where numerous Balearic mercenaries hired on, no doubt as slingers, to fight for Carthage. During the Second Punic War, the island was assaulted by the two Scipio brothers in 209 BC but remained loyal to Carthage, with the Carthaginian military failing on the Iberian mainland. Ibiza was last used by the fleeing Carthaginian general Mago to gather supplies and men before sailing to Minorca and then to Liguria. Ibiza negotiated a favorable treaty with the Romans, which spared Ibiza from further destruction and allowed it to continue its Carthaginian Punic institutions well into the Empire days, when it became an official Roman municipality. For this reason, Ibiza today contains excellent examples of late Carthaginian Punic civilization. During the Roman Empire, the island became a quiet imperial outpost, removed from the important trading routes of the time. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire and a brief period of first Vandal and then Byzantine rule, the island was conquered by the Moors in 990. The few remaining locals converted to Islam and Berber settlers came in. Under Islamic rule, Ibiza came in close contact with the city of Dania, the closest port in the nearby Iberian Peninsula, located in the Valencian community, and the two areas were administered jointly by the Taifa of Dania. Ibiza together with the islands of Formentera and Minorca were invaded by the Norwegian king Sigurd I of Norway in the spring of 1110 on his crusade to Jerusalem. The king had previously conquered the cities of Sintra, Lisbon, and Alcázar de Sal and given them over to Christian rulers, in an effort to weaken the Muslim grip on the Iberian Peninsula. King Sigurd continued to Sicily where he visited King Roger II of Sicily. The island was conquered by Aragonese King James I in 1235. The local Muslim population got deported, as was the case with neighboring Mallorca and elsewhere, and Christians arrived from Girona. The island maintained its own self-government in several forms until 1715, when King Philip V of Spain abolished the local government's autonomy. The arrival of democracy in the late 1970s led to the Statute of Autonomy of the Balearic Islands. Today, the island is part of the Balearic Autonomous Community, along with Mallorca, Menorca, and Formentera. Toponymy: the official name of the island is in Catalan, Ibiza. Its name in Spanish is Ibiza. In British English, the name is usually pronounced in an approximation of the Spanish, by theta e vi theta e, whereas in American English the pronunciation is more anglicized, or closer to Latin American Spanish. The origin of the name of the island is in the Phoenician language Yebosim. In the 18th and 19th centuries the island was known to the Royal Navy as Ivica. Geography: Ibiza is a rock island covering an area of 572.56 square kilometers, almost 6 times smaller than Mallorca, but over 5 times larger than Mykonos, 10 times larger than Manhattan in New York City. Ibiza is the larger of a group of the Western Balearic Archipelago called the Piteuses, or Pine Islands, composed of itself and Formentera. The Balearic Island chain includes over 50 islands, many of which are uninhabited. The highest point of the island is Sa Talaiassa at 475 meters. Administration: Ibiza is administratively part of the autonomous community of the Balearic Islands, whose capital is Palma on the island of Mallorca. Ibiza comprises 5 of the community's 67 municipalities. Clockwise from the south coast, these are Sant Josep de Sa Talaiassa, Sant Antoni de Portmany, Sant Joan de Labritja, Santa Eulària des Rius, Vila de Visa. At the 2001 census, these municipalities had a total population of 88,076 inhabitants, which had risen to an estimated 132,637 by the start of 2010, and have a land area of 572.56 square kilometers. Climate: the summer climate of Ibiza typically ranges in the upper 20s degrees C, often reaching 30.0 degrees Celsius, with overnight lows below 22.2 degrees Celsius. The winter off-season temperature reaches lows of 8.1 to 14.2 degrees Celsius, with highs in the upper teens degrees C. On average it snows once every 10 years. People: demographically, Ibiza displays a very peculiar configuration, as census agencies diverge on exact figures. According to the 2001 national census, Ibiza had 88,076 inhabitants. However, 2 years later, this figure jumped to 108,000, and by the start of 2010 he had reached 132,637. This rapid growth stems from the amnesty, which incorporated a number of unregistered foreign migrants. In terms of origin, about 55% of island residents were born in Ibiza, 35% are domestic migrants from mainland Spain, and the remaining 10 to 15% are foreign, dual and multinational citizens of the EU and abroad. In decreasing order, the most commonly visiting foreigners are German, British, Latin American, French, Italian and Dutch, in addition to a myriad of other nationalities. This mosaic reflects the fluidity of foreigners living and moving across the island, in ways that render impossible to exactly quantify the expatriate population. The Spanish composer and music theorist Miguel Roig Francoli was born in Ibiza, as was the politician and Spain's former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Abel Matutes. Notable former residents of Ibiza include English punk musician John Simon Ritchie, the psychedelic rock band Filiac, comic actor Terry Thomas, Hungarian master forger Elmir Dahari, American fraudster Clifford Irving, and film director, actor Orson Welles. Language. Ibizans is the native dialect of Catalan that is spoken on Ibiza and nearby Formentera. Catalan shares co-official status with Spanish. Additionally, because of the influence of tourism and expatriates living in or maintaining residences on the island, other languages like German, English and Italian are widely spoken. Polylinguality is the norm, not the exception. Tourism. Nightlife. Ibiza is considered to be a popular tourist destination, especially due to its legendary and at times riotous nightclub-based nightlife centered on two areas: Ibiza Town, the island's capital on the southern shore, and Sant Antoni to the west. Well-known nightclubs are Privilege, Amnesia, Space Patcha, Es Paradis and DC-10. During the summer, the top producers and DJs in dance come to the island and play at the various clubs, in between touring to other international destinations. Some of the most famous DJs run their own weekly nights around the island. Many of these DJs use Ibiza as an outlet for presenting new songs within the house, trance and techno genres of electronic dance music. The city has achieved renowned worldwide fame as a cultural center for house and trance in particular, with its name often being used as a partial metonym for the particular flavor of electronic music originating there, much like Goa in India. Since 2005, the live music event Ibiza Rocks has helped to redefine the Ibiza party landscape. Bands such as Arctic Monkeys, Kasabian, The Prodigy, and the Kaiser Chiefs have played in the courtyard of the Ibiza Rocks Hotel. The season traditionally begins at the start of June with Space and DC-10's opening parties and finishes on the first weekend of October with the closing parties. A typical schedule for clubbers going to Ibiza includes waking at noon, early evening naps, late-night clubbing, and disco sunrises. Due to Ibiza's notable tolerance toward misbehavior from young adult tourists, it has acquired the sobriquet Gomorrah of the Med, also well known as Café del Mar, a long-standing bar where many tourists traditionally view the sunset made famous by Jose Padilla, who has released more than a dozen eponymous album compilations of ambient music played at the location. That and other bars nearby have become an increasingly popular venue for club pre-parties after sunset, hosting popular DJ performers. The island's government is trying to encourage a more cultured and quieter tourism scene, passing rules including the closing of all nightclubs by 6 a.m. at the latest, and requiring all new hotels to be 5-star. The administration wants to attract a more international mixture of tourists. World Heritage Site. Though primarily known for its party scene, large portions of the island are registered as UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and thus protected from the development and commercialization of the main cities. A notable example includes God's Finger in the Benirus Bay, as well as some of the more traditional Ibizan cultural sites such as the remains of the first Phoenician settlement at Saucalita. Other sites are still under threat from the developers, such as Ses Faix's wetlands, but this site has now been recognized as a threatened environment, and it is expected that steps will be taken to preserve this wetland. Because of its rustic beauty, companies and artists alike frequently use the island for photographic and film shoots. A monument erected in honor of Christopher Columbus can be found in Sant Antoni. Ibiza is one of several places purporting to be his birthplace. Development. Since the early days of mass tourism on the island, there have been a large number of development projects ranging from successful ventures, such as the superclubs at Space and Privilege, to failed development projects, such as Josep Lluís Sirt's abandoned hotel complex at Cala d'Enserra, the half-completed and now demolished Idea nightclub in Sant Antoni, and the ruins of a huge restaurant nightclub in the hills near Sant Josep called Festival Club, that only operated for 3 summer seasons in the early 1970s. In 2013, Ibiza property prices generally remained above market value, and many of the development projects on the island have now been completed or continue, as well as some new projects announced at the end of 2012. Since 2009, Ibiza has seen an increase in tourist numbers every year, with nearly 6 million people traveling through Ibiza Airport in 2012. The summer season has become concentrated between June and September, focusing on the clubbing calendar, which is currently booming. In recent years, the luxury market has dramatically improved with new restaurants, clubs, and improvements to the marina in Ibiza Town. Ibiza's increased popularity has led to problems with potable water shortages and overrun infrastructure. This has led to imposition of a sustainable tourism tax, which went into effect in July 1, 2016. Minister of Tourism Vicente Torres stated in an interview in 2016 that the government has instituted a moratorium on building in certain areas. He said that with almost 100,000 legal touristic beds and about 13,000 inhabitants on the island's 572 square kilometers, not much more tourism can be supported. Transport. Ibiza is served by Ibiza Airport, which has many international flights during the summer tourist season, especially from the European Union. There are also ferries from the harbour of Sant Antoni and Ibiza Town to Barcelona, Mallorca, Denia, and Valencia. There are also ferries to Formentera leaving Sant Antoni Harbour, and daily from Ibiza Town, Santa Eulària, and Figueres Platja d'en Bosso. Several public buses also travel between Sant Antoni and Ibiza Town, every 15 minutes in summer and every half hour in winter. In addition, there are buses from Sant Antoni to Calabassa, Calacante and Calatarida, and to the airport. From Ibiza there are buses to the Platja d'en Bosso, Ses Salines, the airport, and Santa Eulària. Cuisine. Ibiza's local cuisine is typically Mediterranean. Of the most common culinary products of the island are sweets known as flans. Other savory dishes include sofrit pages, bullet de pis, arroz de matanca and arroz a la marinera. In popular culture, a number of novels and other books have been written using Ibiza as the setting, including Joshua Then and Now by Mordecai Richler, Soma Blues by Robert Sheklik, Vacation in Ibiza by Lawrence Schimmel, A Short Life on a Sunny Isle, and Alphonse Dantan Mystery by Hannah Blank, They Are Ruining Ibiza by C. Green, and The Python Project by Victor Canning. Ibiza is internationally known as the birthplace of Balearic beat music and its trance derivative. The song "We're Going to Ibiza" by Venga Boys featured the island's notorious nightlife as the ideal location for vacations. Swedish House Mafia has a song called Miami to Ibiza. Approaching Nirvana has a song named I Dream of Ibiza. The 1969 film More was filmed on location in Ibiza, and the soundtrack by Pink Floyd features a song titled Ibiza Bar. German luxury fashion house Escada had a fragrance called Ibiza Hippie. Kevin and Amp Perry Go Large is a 2000 British teen comedy film about a teenager's summer trip to Ibiza, starring Harry Enfield, Kathy Burke, Fans, written by Dave Cummings and Harry Enfield, and directed by Ed By. The movie also features the island's famous club Amnesia. I Took a Pill in Ibiza is a song by Mike Posner that recounts his feelings on his previous fame and the life of a musician. Ibiza is a song by The Lonely Island featured in the 2016 film Pop Star. Never Stop, Never Stopping. Gallery.